Hello and welcome back to the Push Forward podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're going to dive into a cutting edge topic that we've all been talking about in the online world for the past year. Well, OpenAI and ChatGPT is now officially a year old. Though they've been around since 2018, really the mass adoption didn't start until November of last year. And so here we are in December. And we want to talk about using AI to generate content for creators and businesses. This is a very, very hot topic that people are trying to understand what they should do. Should they tell their audience, their listeners, their viewers that content is created with AI? Or should they tell them that it's all organically created? There's lots of different ways that you can go about this, right? But what I really want to just talk about is the rise of AI in content creation. It's a question that I've been getting quite a bit when I'm speaking with different audiences, from Gen Z at different colleges to business owners and marketers. So again, the rise of AI, ChatGPT, Bard, Anthropic, and many other tools is causing creators, influencers, and marketers to really ask that question. How do we share with the audience, how we go about creating content? And so there's some pros and cons in using content creation. And so I think that's kind of where the conversation should start. Clearly the biggest pro, and this is not just a creator or marketer, this is business people. These are students, parents, just about anyone who does anything online or works is going to find that AI can generate content quick, which means it'll help you be more efficient. It'll increase your productivity. I can tell you in the past year, I've increased productivity on average from different people on my staff for as much as 30%. And that's being tracked by different tools like Toggle that we use, and we're keeping an eye on it. So there's no doubt that AI can really help you be more productive. I think the other thing that is very positive is that it'll help you create just really diversity of ideas, right? A wide range of content that isn't as biased. Now, I know some people are talking about the fact that AI is biased to begin with because it is written by, a tech bro somewhere in California. But, it's been my experience that the bias that is in there is only there if you drive the bot, if you drive the chat bot in that direction. And then the other thing is that it's cost effective. So that's a big pro. So, reducing the need for large creative teams, and getting things done quickly. So look, it's efficiency, diversity of ideas, and cost effectiveness. Those are the pros. Okay. So we haven't talked about how we're going to go about telling people whether we're creating, content using AI or not. I can tell you here at the Push Forward podcast, as well as our companies like Push Bio, we are doing very little with AI to deliver content, right? Meaning to create, let's say, a blog post or this podcast, videos. We are sitting for hours and hours with our teams to ideate. It's really that discovery, exploration of ideas. You talk about content, you talk about your audience, your ideal customer profile. You really try to present your product in a way that is unique. And the chatbot's not going to be able to do that for you. Now, somewhere along the middle, once the ideas have been created, then you are ready to put it into, whether it's ChatGPT or some of the other tools out there, you're ready to put it in there and expand upon that, right? And that's where the efficiency, diversity of ideas, and cost effectiveness comes through, right? So you put that in there. But in the last step of the phase, you're still going to have that human a touch point where, whether it's an editor or the manager, whoever it is in the organization, if you're a creator, it's probably just you. You're going to give it to a virtual assistant. They're going to bring it back to you, and then you're going to make changes. You're going to add your voice to it. So the question is, like, doing it that way, is the content then plagiarized? No, I don't think so, because you still had quite a bit of human interactions throughout the process, right? And so it's no different than using a spreadsheet to crunch numbers. We're not going to say that, you can't produce a report because you used computers. The fact is, we've been using AI for decades. We just don't call it AI, right? And so you use the technologies that are available for the last 20, 30 years to really just make things better for everyone, make it more cost effective, right? And so that's the same idea with AI. Now, some of the cons, no doubt, these are some of the disadvantages that I find is that for people who are looking for an end all be all tool, it's not going to work because it lacks that personal touch, right? AI is just going to miss the nuances of that human emotion and creativity that you can only find when someone who works in that area can do that, right? And the quality control issues. Now, of course, we've talked about the hallucinations and the source of data, right? So I've myself have come across certain pieces of content that were sourced by ChatGPT, where when I followed it, went to the website, went to the author, and just basically found out that it was not super accurate data. So again, you still have to use your process to make sure that you have those quality controls in place. And then there's the ethical consideration, right? So discussing the implications of AI in terms of originality and intellectual property. And if you're just a everyday business person, marketer, you're probably not worried about that as much. But people who are very creative, like writers, musicians, and people like that, in those very creative and artistic professions, I mean, they're definitely going to be a lot more worried. You have voice cloning software. If you're a photographer, someone can take your photo and put it in there. And so these are all the different things that we're dealing with right now. But I think for most influencers, creators, marketers, business people, you can't afford not to use this, right? So the strategies for combining AI efficiency with human creativity, that's where you're going to be able to have the best outcomes for you and for your audience, right? And you'll be able to collaborate with people on a much higher level, right? Now, it's moving so fast that it's hard to predict anything or what the advancements are going to be. Like we've gone from Chat GPT 3.5 to 4 and plus, and then they're saying that in the next 2-3 years we're going to have AGI. And so we here at the Push Forward podcast, we're taking a position of just going using a lot of different tools and going in different directions, but not trying to pin ourselves to any particular tool. For example, we also use Bard. I also use Anthropic, and then many other apps that are powered by some of those companies like Anthropic and Stability AI. So look, the role of AI in shaping our future and the future of the creator and influencer economy is going to be strong. It just is, and you have to figure that out. Now, so AI companies, including OpenAI, Alphabet, Meta, Anthropic, Inflection, Amazon, and Microsoft, those companies have committed to work with the government to develop a system to watermark all forms of content, from text to images to audio to videos that are generated by AI, so that users will know when the technology has been used. It's not in place yet, but we expect that by next year, this watermark system, where it's going to embed it into the content in a technical manner where you won't see it, but it'll have sort of like a blockchain. Presumably, it's going to make it easier for users to spot the fake images or audio that is generated by cloning voices. You won't notice it, but you will have a little watermark that tells you that, right? And so I think that, even for when you're thinking about kids, it'll help them flag anybody that's showing violence, anybody that's trying to distort a photo, for example, doing the deep fakes and things like that. But it is unclear how the watermark will be evident in sharing of the information. I think it's not going to be that difficult, no different than companies who put in, a little logo of Facebook, TikTok, whatnot, right? You see like the little TikTok logo that overlays. So listen, if you're creating all your content with AI, yeah, you should let the world know, and the companies Also, pledge to focus on protecting users' privacy as AI develops, and on ensuring that the technology is free of bias, which I mentioned earlier, and is not going to be used to discriminate against vulnerable groups. So we'll see how that works, but I think I'm keeping an eye really on the implications for creators and influencers here at the Push Forward podcast, because it's, I think, going to be the group that has the most to gain or lose. One thing you can't do is ignore AI and just put your head in the sand and say, oh well, everything I'm going to create is just with my own brain and computer or pen and paper or brush or whatever the case is. Why? Because if you think about it, all the tools that we use every day in technology already make your process not fully organic, right? And so, again, I think it'll help you produce more. It'll help you be more creative, and I think that's all really good. It'll help you monetize more and just deliver a better experience for your audience. So I encourage you all to experiment with AI in your content creation process. Thanks for tuning in to the Push Forward podcast. Stay creative and keep pushing forward.